Hello everyone, it's History Behind the Warrior, and welcome back to yet another Mortal Kombat video, with us still coming off the heights of yesterday's fantastic reveal trailer. Today I wanted to take the time to analyze it in great detail, so we can paint a picture of this very interesting canvas, painted out by Fire God Liu Kang, as a lot of news, theories, and rumors have been floating what could possibly be going on here. So, without any waiting, because I'm just so excited to talk about this, let's just jump right into things and see what on earth is going on with this trailer. Now, bang right out the gate, the trailer more or less establishes the premise and timeline we are following up on with Liu Kang's ending. However, it's a little different than what was originally envisioned, because in his ending, it seems like we were interpreting the next game to take place during the Great Kung Lao era, with said character being the centerpiece of it, which it still very well could be. But now, it looks like we are completely following through on a literal blank slate, one where an entirely new world thrives beneath his vision, and where his friends and former allies all have the wishes they desire, as it was foreshadowed on their website with reimagined characters. And we kind of do get a very brief glimpse of that through both Scorpion and Kitana here, but I'll touch on those two a little bit later on. As this goes on, during the trailer, Liu Kang monologues and does say the following: "It is time to wake up to a new reality, to a blank canvas that I have painted with warmth and peace. In my new era, choice is yours, whether to live in quiet serenity or bloody strife, to dwell in joyous prosperity or bitter rivalry. You can face each other as sworn enemies or united as brothers, for the storm is brewing, and soon you will discover that even in this new era, one constant remains: there is always something worth fighting for," which is then followed up by a separate bit of exposition with "You have chosen to defy peace, and then you have chosen war with a god." There's actually a lot to take away from this exposition dump, and I think it's more so setting the premise and tone for the story, with choice clearly being a strong aspect that's heavily emphasized throughout the dialogue exposition, maybe even hinting at a choose your destiny sort of aspect with the new immersive story mode. So kind of like what we had at the end of Aftermath, where your choices and decisions effectively impact the world you inhabit. I know some have interpreted it as Liu Kang possibly having lost his way and turned into a villain, which is something NetherRealm did really try to push from MK9 onwards, but I don't necessarily think that's what NetherRealm is going for here, because until he watches his world die is where he finally takes action and essentially turns Shang Tsung into glorified spaghetti bolognese. So his retaliation was most certainly provoked by this anomaly in his timeline. But with that said, how is Shang Tsung here? How does he fit into the mold? Well, if we are going back to my theory, as well as the established multiverse's canon, then technically both endings and outcomes are canon in Aftermath. Hence how one ending is being interweaved into the other. The interesting thing of note though is the visual absence of Kronika's crown from both Liu Kang and Shang Tsung, as it looks like they don't have to be wearing it unless you're operating the hourglass itself. I've also heard some say that they don't believe this to be the same Shang Tsung from his ending, as he looks very different, but it's also abundantly clear that they are using very different models for characters, with Raiden easily being the most visually different. So I do think the Shang idea still stands. Also, I feel like they've pulled a little bit of inspiration from Chin Han Shang Tsung. As for the deaths we see in the trailer, I wouldn't worry much about them. I think they hold as much weight as Raiden's death in the MK11 trailer. If anything, this has all been an exhibition of their in-game models, updated engine, and of course, because it's Mortal Kombat, the blood and the gore. Which I'm not gonna feature here, because proper demonetization's a bitch. But I think you get what I mean here. Now there is something that has gone over people's heads, and that's the fact that Shang Tsung is a pre-order bonus character. Something that has typically and historically been allocated to sub-bosses. Thus, I don't think that Shang Tsung's the final boss. I think NetherRealm are keeping a secret as to who it's gonna be. But we all know that we've been advocating for a particular Dragon King for the last 6 years. Let's see you finally pull the trigger on bringing back Onaga. With that said, let's now touch on the other characters featured here. Starting off with the former Thunder God, Raiden. Originally, I did interpret this character to actually be the Great Kung Lao, but on a deeper analysis, it is most certainly Raiden, because of the lightning striking behind him. I feel like that's ominous enough. Now, visually, there's not too much to say about him, but with the simplicity at hand, this could mean that he still retains his mortality. But it is kinda hard to say, as everyone kind of gets pasted here. But what I do like here is Kung Lao. Whilst not the Great Kung Lao visually, at least so it seems, as he's rocking a mixture of his attires from Mortal Kombat 9 and X, it seems that even in this new world, Kung Lao still maintains his strict regiment of training in the early hours, even before a seemingly mortal Raiden has awoken, possibly hinting of a student-teacher relationship. I also want to point out that all of this unravels whilst Liu Kang says they can choose between peaceful serenity or bloody strife. So it's all about a choice, what paths they desire. Now this all does once again go back to what I said about the characters acquiring their dreams, with Raiden having maintained mortality and wanting peace as a peaceful teacher after eons of war, whilst Kung Lao is training even harder than before to possibly being seen as worthy in Raiden's eyes, as his rival did ascend to godhood, possibly a little bit of a callback to Mortal Kombat 9. From here, we cut to Kitana and Mileena, and there's so much to talk about here. First off, I'm loving Kitana's redesign. Dear God, it looks so much better than what we got in Mortal Kombat 11. Even if it kinda does look AI generated. Thanks internet, you ruined that one for me. Either way, both Kitana and Mileena look incredible here. So first off, where is this taking place? Well, honestly, it's really hard to say. If I am to guess, I do think that it is Edenia, as its architecture doesn't exactly look like Outworld's traditional designs. And the color palette used here is very vibrant to what we typically see of Outworld, which usually has a bunch of dark brown and harsh greys. It's a very different tone, but the carriage we see here is clearly distinguished to define royalty. So maybe Kitana is attending her own coronation, ascending to queen, as we don't actually see Sindel here. And the queen role of Kitana has been something both hinted at and utilized in both timelines. So this one has been coming for a while. Now the idea of the coronation does tie into Mileena here, because I think she got the loving sister she's always wanted, because, well, they're in the same carriage together. But even despite that, when she looks at Kitana, she does scowl at her, possibly showing a bit of jealousy, but yet again, she is outdone by her sister, as reviving Edenia kind of became a key aspect of her character in her brief alliance with Rain and Tanya. Also, as this scene plays out, Liu Kang does say to dwell in joyous prosperity when talking about Kitana, or bitter rivalry, as it slowly pans over to Mileena. So it looks like that spite will never truly die. From here, we finally get 2 shots of Scorpion and Sub-Zero, with the pair rocking similar but rather streamlined attires from the last game, and I'm a big fan of the new looks we have here. Even if Scorpion has a scorpion tattoo, because get it, he's Scorpion. But there's a lot to talk about, design-wise, and symbolism here, because Scorpion doesn't really retain a Hell Spectre or Revenant redesign, maybe hinting that his desire was to regain the family he had lost, as his rivalry with Sub-Zero here looks to have maybe simmered. And a bit of a nice Easter egg here is that when Sub-Zero comes into frame, the tea here does freeze over, possibly referencing the MKX scene where they do share tea and quell their differences. Now, with the again established ideas in mind, when we look at Sub-Zero, I think that for the first time in a very long while, this actually could be Bi-Han, because if said annihilation of the Shirai Ryu was to never happen, then there would be no reason for Bi-Han to die. It also helps that he doesn't have the scar on his eye, so things are looking pretty good for you Bi-Han fans out there. Going back to desires and dreams, Bi-Han is able to maintain his title with no more bloodshed between either sides. However, cutting back to Liu's exposition, because ominous foreshadowing, he does say you can face each other as sworn enemies or unite as brothers, again hinting at choice possibly mattering in some way. I know some have read into this as them being brothers, but like, that's really out there. I don't see that happening myself, but I still definitely think it was worth mentioning. Also, as we look at the character designs, it seems that maybe the Lin Kuei and Shirai Ryu might have new logo designs. It's really hard to see, so we gotta wait to see some official renders before we actually know anything. From this point, we then cut to Shang's portal of him teleporting in, and it does look drastically different from what we did see in MK11. We get another shot of Edenia, presumably Raiden and Lao, before then getting a glimpse at Liu Kang, who's lost the silver hair, but now has the ability to flick his godhood on and off. As this goes on, we get the following exposition. For the storm is brewing, and soon you will discover that even in this new era, one constant remains. There is always something worth fighting for. So even in this new world, this new reality, things aren't perfect. And we've kind of been getting hints of that ever since the start of the monologue. I want to put some emphasis on one constant, because this is said as Shang comes through the portal, maybe hinting that Shang may be a living paradox, kind of like what Geras was, with being able to never truly die. So Shang may constantly be dropping in to cause Liu Kang troubles and issues. And it does make quite a bit of sense here, if Shang Tsung is in ownership of Kronika's hourglass and that damn crown. Also, storm is brewing, ominous foreshadowing of what else may be coming. Of course, there is still of other noticeable bits and pieces going on in this trailer, because if I'm really looking into it here, we could have actually seen 3 different stages. The tea house with Scorpion and Sub-Zero, a field in Earthrealm with Kung Lao and Raiden, and Edenia, where we saw Kitana and Mileena. Could I be accurate? Hard to say. This is definitely a shot in the dark. But again, with previous launch CG trailers, this would make sense. Also, notice how each of the characters are paired here, again adding emphasis to that Kameo fighter tag mechanic we've heard so much of. So when there is a gameplay reveal trailer, don't be surprised if these individuals are all matched up with each other. With that said, this is everything I managed to unravel from yesterday's trailer. So down in the comments below, please do let me know, what did you think of the trailer itself and the bits of information I was able to gather here? Was there anything I had missed or something you were able to pick up on? Please do comments down below, as I'd love to hear what you have to say. But for now everyone, that has been it for me. So as always, stay strong, stay well, and keep on fighting, as Mortal Kombat 1 is finally on the horizon. Take care everyone, I'll see you all soon.